right, through the magic of me pushing buttons, it'll be, 5 seconds late? Something like that. John, here you do. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Here's Out of Control. It's a Thursday, and it is a day. When it comes to the sport, I don't think we're going to forget it yesterday anytime soon. And we're going to spend a lot of our time today going over what happened last night and this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon. Shows you where my head is right now. Goodness gracious. All right, so I was about to run the open again, but no, not going to do that. So we're going to go over what happened yesterday and the fallout and anything else we need to pay attention to in the game itself and get you ready for the weekend. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with our friends Nino Torres from FuboTV and Niko Moreno from our friends at Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, because if you've forgotten, MLS is back. You got games to think about this weekend. Atlanta United, by the way, is going to be in Nashville to start the post-World Cup section of the season. And that is going to be on 92.9 The Game. Mike and Jason are leaving later this afternoon, I believe. And, yes, today is Thursday. So they're leaving later this afternoon. They're going up to Nashville, and they will be up and running for the broadcast. And I believe it is a super, hyper, mega pregame show from our friends at FOX. So it might be a later kick than what we have anticipated. Let me double check it real quick. Morning, Abby. So let's see. We have 4 matches tonight we got to get into. 2 on tomorrow, 8:10. So my guess is that means 8:25. I don't know rightly yet, but it is a doubleheader on Big FOX on Friday night. So if you know anyone that works at an FOX affiliate, they're going to be going on late with their news. Maybe they'll tape it. But listed 8:10 start time, I think that translates into 8:25. And so Atlanta United starts the post-World Cup section of the season tomorrow. We're going to have our friend Lucas Panzica dropping by in the show tomorrow, trying to figure out the timing. And because we're juggling like 19 different guests tomorrow and just trying to figure out the where and the when of all of it. But Lucas Panzica, 104.5 The Zone, is going to be joining us for opposition research tomorrow, and he'll be breaking down everything Nashville. Nashville had some is looking to sign a couple of folks to add to their firepower. So we'll get into that with Lucas tomorrow. Get you ready for Atlanta United tomorrow. Practice very, very early this morning. I think it started a half hour ago. And they're getting ready to get out of Dodge. So 4 matches tonight that we got to get into. One of them is Cascadia, actually, and it's at Lumen Field. Folks in Seattle can actually say that. 4 matches tonight. You have Montreal and Toronto at Stade Saputo, Chicago, Vancouver at Soldier Field, the rolling out of a couple of players, St. Louis and Kansas City. So you have Derby days. It is Derby days this weekend to get everything squared away. So it is 4 matches on your 4 matches today, 2 matches tomorrow, and then everything is up and running in the midweek on Wednesday, the 22nd. That's when everything hits full bore. Everybody's back in action. And then Saturday, they hit you again. Charlotte and New England for Atlanta after the matchup this weekend. So you got 6 matchups to talk about, 4 of them today, 2 of them tomorrow, 1 of them involving Atlanta United. We'll get into that in hour number 2, in addition to everything else that's going on. So how was your day? How was your day yesterday? For Argentina, I think it went pretty well. At least it finished better than it started. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com from the Kaiser Permanente studios. Once again, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for being great partners and great friends with us since basically day one here at SDH, the Kaiser Permanente studios. So yes, you see the bunting, you see the presented by Kaiser Permanente studios. Now, anytime in the future that you have anything going on with us at SDH, and you see us in a studio setting, it is the Kaiser Permanente studio. So this is the Kaiser Permanente studios of Office HD. And so once again, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for dropping by and hanging out with us. Long and disappointing. I know that Abby was looking for anything other than Argentina yesterday. So it was a reminder on a couple of different fronts, and I'm fairly certain that the post-mortem for all of this, and I've kind of started a bit today in opening kickoff. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend, made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied. Notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. So yesterday reinforced where this city is and this region is when it comes to the sport. It was boisterous, it was loud, it was welcoming, and you saw fans taking over downtown Atlanta. You saw the Argentine fans. I want to say it was 10,000 again at Underground Atlanta. The march was amazing. The fan representation was amazing. And to be in that environment of 68,239 for the seventh time, and we do have some sound from Arthur Blank. Mr. Blank was made available to us yesterday, and we have some sound from him that we'll play tomorrow as a part of getting ready for MLS's back. We'll take it from here. And so if we do math, 68 times 7 is 476,000, and then another 4,000. So 480,000 heading into yesterday. So you're looking at what? 480 and 68. So basically you're pushing 550,000 people. Then you end up with, it wasn't quite 68, but I mean, you're looking at, so if it was 8 times 68, you're looking at 64 and 40. So, I mean, so 550,000 people. 68 and 8 is 6 and 8 is 40. Yes. So like 540,000 people for 8 matches at Atlanta Stadium, which we can now call Mercedes-Benz again because no more matches are being played there. Or I don't know if the moratorium is going to stick it through Sunday afternoon or not. But you have what is 500 north of 500,000 folks in the building. 500,000 folks out of the building at the Fan Fest, which, by the way, had a line down the block and around the corner to get into it yesterday. Then you have all of the other Fan Fests. I think that by the time Decatur is done with theirs, they're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 175,000 people that have been there for the entire run. It reinforced that this part of the country is soccer country. That Atlanta is the epicenter of U.S. soccer. You have a national training center. You have all of this support from a worldwide basis. You see how all of the businesses and everyone embraced each other when it came to piecing this together. Yesterday was kind of like the capper of the whole thing, and it was loud. It was crazy inside. And you could not hear yourself think during the anthems. Literally, and our setup was the same as it was. I was on the end. Jason's in the middle. Maddie's off to the. Maddie is like position 1. Jason's in the middle, and I'm in position 3. I couldn't hear Maddie talk to me, and I had to lean in to hear Jason. During the anthems, it was loud. You were either whistling over each other or you were chanting over the other anthem. And it was one of those environments that you sit there and you go, you know what? This is a hell of a thing. And you all have, and this would be where I would suggest that, maybe for a minute, you give yourselves all a pat on the back because of embracing everything that walked in the door and seeing how it all came to fruition the way that it did. It has been a very special 6 weeks to see all of the different diaspora come here. All of the different matches that were here, all the different fans from around the planet that were here. And Mike Conti had made a point to rank each of the 8 matches. And I'm like, good luck on that one. But Mike ranked the 8 matches that were at the Benz. And here's his rankings. I'm going to go 8-1. I'm going to go 8-1 here. And Mike, God bless Mike. Mike had 5 of them ranked at number 1, and then he actually went like 1A, etc. So South Africa and Czechia, the 1-1 draw, he had that at number 8. But then you look at how, and I'll take this a matchup at a time. You look at how Czechia came in to represent. You look at how South Africa came in to represent. For that match, when I was wandering into Atlanta Stadium, I literally ran into a father and a son from Birmingham, Alabama, who came to root on South Africa. I mean, that kind of qualifies as the randomness of all of this. So you had a father and son from Birmingham, Alabama, rooting South Africa in the 1-1 draw against Czechia. Spain and Saudi Arabia, I would have had that one probably as number 8, the 4-0 win for Spain over Saudi Arabia. But once again, you got to see the Saudi Arabia fan come here. And then you got to see the Spain fan show up here as well. DR Congo and Uzbekistan, Mike had that basically at number 2 because of his 5-way tie at number 1, but he had that as number 6. And I can understand that one. But for me, and this is the hard part, I mean, it's kind of number 6 by default because it was on decision day in the group stage. And one of those teams needed a win to get into the knockouts. DR Congo was positioned in a better place to get into the knockouts and make some noise than Uzbekistan. If Uzbekistan won, then Uzbekistan really would get bogged down in the math. If DR Congo wins, then they're into the knockouts and their position is safe at 4 points. Because of what that match meant on decision day in the group stage, the game was chaos. And Fabio Cannavaro, you got to see the impact he's had on the national program in Uzbekistan. You got to see DR Congo. You got to see both of those fan bases and both of those diaspora. I mean, the Congolese, the Congolese diaspora, to see them twice was a real treat. To see Uzbekistan make it to their first ever World Cup, to see their fans, that was a treat. And then Mike basically had a 5-way tie for the matchups themselves. Mike had Morocco and Haiti as his number 4. Basically, he had it as 1C. I would put it basically at number 5 just because of default. But once again, in a match that meant nothing, it was a dead rubber for Haiti. It was their 3rd match into their group stage. Game meant nothing. Haiti did not care. Haiti came in and you had one of the goals of the tournament in the Haiti-Morocco match. The Haiti fans and the Morocco fans, completely and totally respectful of one another. And I still marvel at how the Haiti fans got all of the musical instruments approved that they did for that one section in the 200s. For those of you that might have been at the match and remember. Below us in the press box and off to the left was a section in the 200s. I want to say it was like 232. And it was a 5x12 block or a 6x12 block of rows and seats where Haiti fans had brought in large bongos. They brought in, I'm not going to, it's like a Vuvuzela adjacent. It was an artificial plastic horn, but it sounded a lot better than the Vuvuzelas do. They had hi-hats from drum sets. They had gourds, and they were jamming, and they did not stop. And when the rest of the crowd that was of the Haiti fandom was there, and they realized in the end zone what the band was doing that had imported their own instruments, they started singing along, and it turns into this massive sing-along where the Haiti fans, while they, the game meant nothing to them and they were done in the tournament after this one, didn't matter. They wanted their team to do great work, and they wanted to go out as best as they could. The fans were top-notch. and they helped lift their team. And that, the goal that was early in that match, in the craziest, one of the crazier, I'll rephrase, one of the crazier first halves around. You had that craziness going on and all of this magic happening around you with those two fan bases. By default, I put that one at number 5, but it's not. I'm not really ranking. I'm using Mike's rankings and I'm shuffling them around. I'm not ranking the matches, but there was the one match that kind of stepped apart, and it was the Spain-Saudi Arabia match. You got to see Spain. You got to see them kind of get into their rhythm. But South Africa and Czechia, the 1-1 draw, probably would be number 8 for me. Then you get into the other 4 matches. Spain and Cabo Verde in group. Mike had that one ranked at number 5, his 1D, where we got to have our tournament kick in with that match, where you got to find out about the legend of Cabo Verde and Vizinha and how they were going to be defensively. And we found out firsthand how much of a pain in the you-know-what they were going to be in this tournament. Ask Argentina about that. So Mike had that one at number 5. He had Morocco, Haiti at number 4. Then he had England and DR Congo, the comeback from England, at number 3, where DR Congo, once again, we knew what they were bringing to the table. We knew what they were bringing to the table. And they now have this tournament to build on, but the fans of England got to see Harry Kane and the comeback win there to make it 2-1. And then he had the 2 Argentina matches. He had Argentina's win over Egypt ahead of the Argentina-England match yesterday. To me, it would be 1 and 1A. Mike had them 1 and 1A. You can put them in whatever order you want. But the Argentina comeback, the first one, with Egypt, where you're down, then you come back and you score once and twice, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, where's the third one? There's the third one. You have that one, and then you have what happened yesterday with Argentina over England in a final 2-1. So that was Mike's 8. Argentina, Egypt, Argentina, England, England, DR Congo, Morocco, Haiti, Spain, Cabo Verde, DR Congo, Uzbekistan, Spain, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Czechia. And so that was his 8. There might have been, like I said, short of the Spain-Saudi Arabia match or the South Africa-Czechia match, you were blessed in Atlanta with some fantastic world football. And to be able to share those stories with you in this tournament has been an absolute blast for us. But I think it reminded us at the end of the day, all 8 of these matches, Argentina, Egypt, England, DR Congo, Morocco, Haiti, Spain, Cabo Verde, Uzbekistan, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and Czechia. You had 12 different nations come here. 1/4 of the field came through Atlanta Stadium in whatever stage it was. And to be able to see all of the different diaspora come in, all of the different fan bases come in, and show support for their teams, where a lot of folks were wondering, I don't know about this matchup. There might be like 12 people show up. And I cannot wait to get the postmortem from FIFA about capacity and tickets sold and all that kind of stuff. At one point, it was registered like 99.6% of capacity in the group stage. So, and I imagine it didn't drop down all that much with the knockouts. But no concerns about butts and seats by the time this was done. We do have 2 matches left, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, 3rd place match, and the one that is for all the Tostitos with Argentina and Spain. And yes, those storylines are going to be all over the place for the next couple of days as everybody's heading to New Jersey for the final, or you're heading to Miami for the 3rd place match. So, I mean, it was a reminder in each of these cities what the sport can do, what the sport is, and how fan bases really will travel with their clubs. It was a fantastic tournament here in Atlanta, and with the 2 matches left and fan fests and watch fests and viewing parties and all that kind of stuff, y'all have yourself to pat on the back for all of the work you put in, all of the work going forward, everything that we can grow from this. So from a historical perspective, from an elbow grease perspective, from a welcoming perspective, you showed why the South and the Southern United States, the Southeastern United States, and Atlanta Stadium are bar none. So let me be one of the first to take my imaginary hat. Well, do I have a hat named Wear Close? I kind of do, but I'm not going to wear it. Here, let me do this. I will take my imaginary hat and I will doff it. And it's not imaginary, but I'm not wearing it. So I take my hat off and I doff it for all of you folks that invested in your time, your effort, your hospitality to make this go as it did. And like I said, as we kind of wind out of the tournament itself, we're going to be catching up with folks over the next couple of weeks to kind of get a rundown of everything that happened, not just in an on-the-field sense, but off-the-field infrastructure, investment, capital, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of it with some of our guests. We're going to catch up with Andrea Arnold from the city of Decatur coming up in about 10 days. And so we'll find out what it was like for Decatur and all of the different areas. And we're going to have all of this piece together for you. And we're going to kind of let you know the impact and the legacy of this tournament here in this footprint. So that's opening kickoff. Hell of a tournament from and we got all y'all to thank. Volunteers, everybody. And it was fun for me to see all of the volunteers that we know from our time here at SDH that are OGs and plus ones, that they were volunteering and all of that. So it was fun to see that aspect of it too, where we are all giving back in our different ways. So that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy-bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. All right. So we've got a bunch of different ways that we're going to tell the story of what happened yesterday. We have our friends from Telemundo Deportes. We have our friends from Football de Primera. And our friend Sammy Sadovnik, who was on the call for the match yesterday. And we also have our friend Pablo Giralt and his happened yesterday as well. So we've got that to get into. So it's a couple of different ways. And so Pablo Giralt, very, very busy man. And with Telefe, he had, and I will tell you this, where Pablo Giralt is concerned, his goal cams, he had the camera on himself in the building. The one call that we will have for you in this show is the game winner. And you worry legitimately about Pablo Giralt because of the veins in his forehead and all of everything, all of the emotion that's coming out. You do worry for his well-being at one of the points, but that's how he's wired. But literally his face goes absolute red. So if you do a search on the 280 character app for a Pablo Giralt, Giralt, you will see his face go absolute red and all of the energy that's pushed out of him through his microphone for that call. We've got that call. And like I said, his face went red like that. But we've got that call. We've got a couple of calls. We do have post-match from Harry Kane for a couple of minutes, Dan Byrne for a couple of minutes, and the soundbite from Thomas Tuchel after the fact. We'll get into stats and all of the numbers that are attached to it that are up and running. So the first 45, you look at it, it's pretty even. Numerically, statistically, all the things, teams had chances, shots on target was pretty much all the same. But to me, England went against type. They wanted to slow things down. They wanted to be physical. They wanted to try to boss the game. in that way. And you looked at what we had seen from England leading into this match, and you're going, well, why are you doing that? You're a great team on your own. You've shown this. You've shown how you can come back in adversity. You've shown how you've had to handle adversity. You've navigated all of it. And you chose to be hyper-physical against Argentina, and that was your way in the first 45 minutes. You start Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side instead of Saka or Noni Madueke, and he was able to go down the right-hand side and create some issues for Argentina, for Argentina defensively in the first 45. Had a couple of chances, and it was goalless at the break. And then 10 minutes into the second half, Anthony Gordon, nice finish, great cross from right-hand side of the attack, meets Gordon, nice volley from at the far post, gets it past Emi Martinez, and it's 1-0. And I know I'm kind of Cliff's notesing this whole thing, but when you score that goal in the 55th, and I've got to call early hydration break here. When you score that goal and get the 1-0 lead, you decide for the final 35 minutes that you are going to defend. And I get it. That's a decision that you make in a semifinal. I get it that with a lead, you wish to defend. And England did that, but the players themselves continued to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper instead of defending, maybe edge of the 18. They kept defending deeper and deeper and deeper. And the one stat that probably will stand out more than any is from the time that Anthony Gordon's goal occurs to the time that this next highlight gets played, you're talking about a match that went 30 minutes. Anthony Gordon scores in the 55th. Our first highlight happens in the 85th. 30 minutes you choose to defend the way that you do. Line of five. Sometimes it was, sometimes it was a 5-3-2. Sometimes it was a 5-4-1. If they could have put 17 players on the field, it probably would have been a 16-1. But in that 5-4-1, you keep drifting back and back and back. And so what does that do for that offense that's going up against you? It gives them more space to run. It closes their ranks. It makes things easier for them to navigate. And you go backward in your defense. And then you have Argentina taking up that space. And in a 30-minute time frame, 55th minute goal, Anthony Gordon, 85th minute goal, Enzo Fernandez, you had possession 12% of the time. 12% of the time. And so what that does is, once again, it creates opportunities for teams to take shots. And we'll get into the second half stats, because if the first half stats fairly even, we'll go second half stats after we talk about the match. So you're defending. 5-4-1, 5-3-2. You're retreating, basically. It's like, okay, we got him here. All right, so let's back up a little more. Okay, we got him here, back up a little more. And that was, Thomas Tuchel can only do this so much, He can only wave folks back to an original position, so they're defending, making it more difficult for Argentina to navigate the space. But England kept hitting R. They kept hitting R in the car in the parking lot. They're working backward. And so for 30 minutes, England had possession 12% of the time. So in 30 minutes, that's what, 1,800. So 1,800 So 180 and 36. So 216 seconds is 3 minutes and 36 seconds. For 3.5 minutes in a 30-minute time frame, you had the ball. 26.5 minutes, 26-24 to 3:36 would be the time of possession breakdown. But when Argentina is down a goal and you cede possession to them to the total of 26.5 minutes of the next 30, things are going to happen. And they did. Here was the first part of it. Once again, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Deportes. Andres Cantor on the call.
De Paul. Messi para enganchar. Buena esta para Enzo que vuelve a probar. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! Argentino, Argentino, lo hizo Enzo Fernández en el cuarto remate desde afuera, impecable. En este mismo estadio fue el héroe, en el otro arco contra Egipto, lo vuelve a hacer para rescatar el partido. Desde arriba pateó Diego.
And so that was goal number 1 in the 85th minute. Lokeville, we will discuss before the end of the show. Lokeville's asking about Atlanta United and how they look. Now it's 1-1. And with what we have seen, frankly, in that building, not just with Argentina. We saw it with England. You know, we saw the comeback kids happen with England in that building. We saw it back and forth with group stage matches too. There's something about Atlanta Stadium that basically tells you that the game ain't done until it's done. And so, goal in the 85th, ties it up at 1, and then continuing to just hammer away and hammer away and hammer away, and you figured that something was going to happen. You thought that an eventuality was going to be there. And it did. Off of a recycled play, you end up with the 2-1 goal. And we'll talk about the machinations of said goal coming up in a bit. But once again, here is the game winner. Once again, Andres Cantor on the call, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Deportes.
Messi engancha y va, tiró con la derecha. Argentino, asistencia de Leo con la derecha, por aquí no, por allá sí.
And so that was 2-1 at 90+2, and that would be the game winner from Lautaro Martinez at 90+2. So I want to break down the second half statistically, because it was staggering at points. It literally was staggering. So we get into the matchup, and we'll get into the ratings and things like that. So head-to-head stats. All right, so second half stats. Argentina had possession 72% of the time in 45 minutes. And literally, you can take it from, it's like BG and AG. We have XG and we now have BG and AG, before goal and after goal. But that 26-30 to 3:30 in time of possession in that 30 minutes between the two goals is amazing to me. And still possession was 72-28. 13 total shots to 4. And once again, you'll hear from Thomas Tuchel in a second. 13 total shots to 4. 5 shots on target compared to 2. 25 touches in the opposition 18 for Argentina compared to 3. And one of those was the goal that Anthony Gordon scored in the 55th minute. This is second half numbers. Literally 3 touches in the opposition 18 for England. One of those was the Anthony Gordon goal. 25 touches in the opposition box in the second 45 for Argentina. 3 big chances compared to 1. Accurate passes, just number of passes. Argentina completed 93% of their passes in the second half, 314 passes total, compared to 95 accurate passes for England at 75%. 5 corners compared to none. Literally, the field was like this. I'd love to know what the field tilt number was for the second 45 minutes. 13 foreign shots, 6-0 off target, 5-2 on target, 2 posts. That was another aspect of this. Shots inside the box, 7-1. Outside the box, 6-3. Once again, that shot inside the box was the goal by Anthony Gordon. 338 passes to 127. And once again, we talked about the numbers of completions. Completed passes in their own half, it's 20 less. In the opposition half, it was almost 8 times as many. It was 7 times as many. 229 completed passes compared to 33. 5 crosses compared to 1. And then we mentioned the touches inside the box. Duels were about even, 25 out of 47. 3 saves for Jordan Pickford, who kept them in the match at points. Clearances were even at 20, which is kind of wild to think about. And then 8-7 in tackles with Argentina. So then you get into, and like I said, that's second half stats. That's your second half stats. Lineup, obviously, you end up with, your starting lineup was Dibu Martinez, Tagliafico, Martinez, and Guti Romero and Molina. That's your back 4. Midfield, Alexis, Leandro Paredes, who had a fantastic tackle in the first half. Enzo Fernandez and Simeone, who came in and gave you that spark you were looking for. He hadn't played in 3 weeks. No minutes in any matches. So basically it was get out there and give me what you got. He did for 72 minutes. And then Julian Alvarez and Lionel Messi up top. For Thomas Tuchel, Jordan Pickford in net, left to right, Jed Spence, Mark Gahey, John Stones, and Reece James. 2 in front of them, Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice, Anthony Gordon, Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers. That was the big change on the right-hand side, and then Harry Kane up top. So those were your numbers. Your subs, Ezri Konsa comes in the 72nd. Dan Burn, Nico O'Reilly come in the 82nd. Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford come in at 90 as you're trying to figure out a way to get an equalizer. So Nico Gonzalez comes in as an attacking sub in the 64th minute. That was for Paredes, who gave you all he had. Then Montiel, Otamendi, and Rodrigo de Paul come in. Triple sub in the 72nd minute. And that was for Martinez, Molina, and Simeone. Thomas Tuchel didn't seemingly respond to those changes, so you had 4 sets of fresh legs out there. He responded with Ezri Konsa in the 72nd, but he waited 10 minutes to bring in Dan Burn and Nico O'Reilly, who were defensive players. They were meant to be defenders. But getting them in was longer in response time than it probably should have been. So then Thomas Tuchel was asked, Abby, thanks as always, stadium for volunteer pick. Okay, cool. So keep an eye out for, she's going to the stadium for a volunteer picture. Post that. Post that if you can. So you got all of that, all those numbers that are attached. And so then Thomas Tuchel is asked after the match about the decision to defend. Here's his answer from the post-match press conference.
Thomas, in this tournament, we've praised your decisions a lot, and a lot of people have said they've been what have got us here a lot of the time. Tonight, there's a lot of criticism about your decisions, particularly the substitutions. Do you believe you got it wrong?
No, I believe that's just the nature of the game. As soon as you lose, you get criticized. It's just what it is, and you get criticized after. No one knows what would have happened if we made different decisions. So it makes no sense to engage in that and lose my head. I'm responsible for them. I took them, so I take the criticism. That's just the way it is.
So taking, obviously, the criticism for the substitution pattern. And Jason made this point, and I thought it was very germane to the discussion. As England is continuing to go further back and further back and further back and defend, what was the conversation in the hydration break? Was there any thought, was there any discussion about, hey guys, I need you to play a little higher up. I need you to come back to where you were. Because you're ceding too much room you've surrendered possession pretty much, but you've also ceded a lot of space, and you've given Argentina you've given them more room to operate. And Argentina, like I said, 26-24 to 336, and that 30 minutes between 55 and 85. What was the conversation in the hydration break? Was there any, hey guys, I need you to move back up to where you were? Because Thomas Tuchel can only do so much. It's like, yeah, I need you to defend, but then it is it's a decision on the field about where those lines of defense are going to be. Because he can do all of this he wants. He can wave forward all he wants. But if the message isn't being absorbed and the players are where they are, then Argentina has more space to operate, and then they have what happened eventually in the 85th minute, 90+2. So that would be a question to pose. What was the conversation like in the hydration break? Or was there a conversation in the hydration break and it was just the players were locked in on where they were from a geographic standpoint? That is going to be interesting. I'll go back and listen to the press conference and we'll find out. I'll see if it was addressed in the press conference with Thomas Tuchel after the match, and we'll have that answer for you tomorrow. So you end up with a 2-1 win for England. 2-1 win for Argentina against England. And Argentina moves on. They are apparently, according to FIFA, they are practicing this morning. I imagine it's just something to get the cobwebs out before you hit the road. They are actually at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground this morning, and they are set to practice at 11 o'clock. So that's probably the other reason as to why Atlanta United is out there super early this morning, is that it pops up that Argentina is having a training session at 11 o'clock. So this is probably just the day after, all right, shake the cobwebs out, get the muscles moving back to where they were kind of a thing. So that answers the question as to why Atlanta United was practicing very, very early this morning and should be wrapping up fairly soon. But now we know why. Probably it's going to be on different fields there at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. But Argentina letting it rip at 11 o'clock this morning as they prepare for Spain on Sunday. And England goes to Miami to take on France. at the Hard Rock on Saturday. Here is some of the Harry Kane post-match scrum from the mix zone. And so this was the back and forth Q&A, and so it's going to sound a little hollow, and I'm going to apologize for that. But here's some of the Q&A with Harry Kane after the match in the mix zone after the 2-1 loss to Argentina.
Yeah, it's a similar story to what's happened in previous tournaments. I feel like we struggled to keep the momentum of the game. We've done so well for that kind of 60 minutes. We scored, we deserved to be ahead. And then for one reason or another, we struggled to keep the ball, we struggled to put pressure on the ball, and it just allowed them to create more momentum. It created more attacks for them in our final third. And then, yeah, it's a normal mindset to try and hang on to the 1-goal lead. But, you know, we're still 20 minutes plus stoppage time to go, and it's always going to be a long time. So, you know, we're going to have to watch the game back and find out exactly how we can improve in those situations. But it's been probably the missing piece now for, you know, the last 4 or 5 tournaments.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but tactically, did we get it wrong, dropping to 5 at the back and dropping so deep so early, do you think?
It's not the time to talk about that. I think there's always going to be these discussions when it doesn't quite fall your way. I think we wanted to try and get more pressure on the wide areas with the 5 at the back, and obviously it gives you an extra man for the crosses. But yeah, we still couldn't quite get the pressure on there, and whenever we cleared the ball or won the ball back, we couldn't keep it well enough. And that's a big part of it as well, to try and shift the momentum and then try and finish the game off with the second goal. So, you know, it's hard to process it all right now. Obviously, we'll have to look as a group and that we win and lose together. That's just the way it goes.
Hi, Harry. What did you say to the team at full time, like when the whistle blew and you walked into the dressing room? What did you say to them?
Well, there's not much to say. For now, everyone has to process what's just happened. Everyone's gutted. I'm gutted for all the boys, all the staff, everyone behind the scenes, because we know how much everyone puts into being a successful national team. And when you're so close, when you're 10 plus minutes away and it slips out your hands like that, yeah, obviously the lads are devastated. For now, we just have to take it on the chin. There's nothing we can do. We can congratulate Argentina, and yeah, we go away and try and improve.
Hi Harry, I know you must be really hurting right now. But along the way, this World Cup journey, you've given the fans here, the fans back home, so many special moments. Maybe just a message for them who have supported you all the way and ultimately.
Yeah, big thanks to the fans who have travelled. We know how much people have given up to be here and support us, and how much it's cost, and all those situations. And every game we've had, the support has been incredible. I know back home the fans have been totally behind us, and yeah, we're devastated for them as well. We know how much it means to them. We know how much it would have meant to reach the final and have that day together. And look, we gave it everything, every last blood, sweat, tears, whatever it took. We tried to get us into that final and give the fans something to cheer about. But yeah, in the end, we fell short.
Harry Kane after the match. And our dear friend Chris Ramondi over at Atlanta Stadium has given us the numbers. I was thinking about some of the numbers and trying to do the math. Chris has now done the math for us. 544,516 fans across the 8 matches. The Fan Festival, more than 500,000 visitors, averaging more than 27,000 guests each day, ranking among the most attended fan festivals in the U.S. 2,000 media, 82 countries. Fan Festival, 2,200 media reps, 89 countries, 6 continents. MARTA transported more than 2.5 million riders, close to a 200% increase from regular ridership, and running every 5 minutes like clockwork. Give them full credit for that. FIFA volunteer program, of which Abby was a part. 2,000 volunteers, more than 2,000, more than 10,000 shifts, 55,000 hours of service throughout the tournament. More than 200 Savannah College Art and Design students, contributing to initiatives with the physical and interactive art. We had the conversation with SCAD about that. Partnership with Boys and Girls Clubs, more than 4,500 youth statewide through soccer-based programming affected. More than 150 community events and watch parties hosted by local orgs throughout the region. Social media channels generated more than 140 million impressions between June 1st and July 15th. Partnered with Soccer in the Streets on the Station Soccer Project. 7th currently underway at Hamilton Holmes. The host committee, combined with a bunch of folks, ACVB, City of Atlanta, State of Georgia, World Congress Center Authority, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Metro Atlanta Chamber, cooperating with, thanks to with the cooperation of Governor Brian Kemp and Andre Dickens, Mayor of Atlanta. Then it was thanks to host supporters, special recognition to Arthur M. Blank, proven host, and with all of the matches. Then you once again getting ready for Super Bowl 62 in February 28, men's Final Four in 2031, and probably Copa America again in 29, and probably the Women's World Cup in 31, just to add. And there are quotes from a bunch of different folks about the whole thing. But there's your numbers. Those are your numbers from our friend Chris Ramondi over at Atlanta Stadium, which we can now get back to calling Mercedes-Benz Stadium. More than 550,000 folks. 550,000 folks for 8 matches. 540. 544, 516. That's the attendance figure for the 8 matches. 544, 516. Another 500,000 at FanFest. And then, like I said, City of Decatur is going to end up, I think, at about 170,000 by the time they're done for their FanFest, the Watch Fest that is over my left shoulder right here. So, like I said, tip of the hat to all of you. That's what opening kickoff was all about this morning, was a tip of the hat to all of you. So, before our friend Nino Torres joins us, we can talk about the World Cup there. Let me get Dan Byrne here Big Dan Byrne. So Dan Byrne, he was also a part of the scrums after the match. And here was what Dan Byrne was asked about. And here's some of his post-match from the mixed zone yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, and I think when you come within sort of 10, 15 minutes of a World Cup final and then don't get it done, it hurts. I thought that we nailed the game plan up until we scored. I thought we did really well. We knew what Argentina were going to do, and I thought we dealt with it pretty well. And we got a little bit passive after the goal. Defended probably a little bit too deep in the quality of chances that Argentina were creating. I thought felt like it was a matter of time. I think it was, I couldn't see too many crosses and too many chances, and I think it's hard because in the previous games we've defended those so well. To get that close and not do it, it's very sad.
Hi Dan, I know it's probably a bit raw right now, but how proud are you? How has this experience been for you for your first World Cup? I know not the ending you wanted, but
no, obviously I'm very gutted right now, but I'm so proud of what the team's done. I don't really think anyone gave her a chance coming into this. My brotherhood that we spoke about, I think this took a long way, and honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I thought we were going to do it. I just had that feeling that this was our time, but I think Argentina showed why they're sort of world champions. They've been there and they've done it. And that's even through.
Dan Byrne after the match in the mix zone for England as they were having to answer to the media after the 2-1 loss. But like I said, I think the key here, once again, if you are a fan of England, and I do have something opening kickoff but that I do want to talk about here in a sec. But you have you had a team that. And the decision, and like I said, I think that Thomas Tuchel was late in responding to the triple change that was made by Scaloni with 20 to go. I think he was late there. And then when he did make the substitutions, he was making defensive substitutions to add to the defensive mindset that was there. And obviously, and he said, as you heard, my decisions, and ultimately it goes with me. So the key will be to find out if anything was addressed by Thomas Tuchel, like in the hydration break or something like that, about guys come back up. Still defend the way you're defending, but give Argentina less space to operate in the attacking third. I think that's probably the one of the bigger questions on the board. And so because of this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the Pablo Girolt game winner. And this is Pablo Girolt from Telefe, and here is his game-winning call. And once again, just a quick reminder, it's out there on social media, but just watch the man's, when you go back and you watch this, Just watch how quickly his face turns red with all the energy that he's bringing for a moment like that means so much to a country. So here's Pablo Giralt's game-winning call.
Abierto Nico González y Argentina entusiasmado, embalado, con fe, vamos. Va Nico, busca el mano a mano, lo marca Conza, no deja atrás para Julián, viene para Julián, entrega para Enzo, va Enzo, abrió la cancha para Nico, va para Nico, mete por abajo, le queda Alexis, apuntó y paró, palo, va para Messi, Valeo, pegó en el palo, pero qué trasero que tienen, por Dios, por no decir otra cosa, viene Messi, va Messi, mete el centro, ¡gol! Argentina, carajo, siempre hay que confiar, no termina hasta que no termina, nunca hay que dejar de creer. Argentina 2, Inglaterra 1, Lautaro viejo hermano, Argentina en mi corazón estamos juntos, siempre juntos, Argentina 2-1, 47 minutos Juan Pablo, vamos Argentina todavía, no se puede tener tanto culo, lo hizo Argentina 2-1.
I hope that Pablo Giralt is okay. I hope that today he's perhaps giving his voice the day off. But it is also, and we know this from a bunch of different sports, we know that this is what makes whatever sport we follow one of the reasons that we do. It's the local announcers. College football, we know who the local play-by-play guys are that we've grown up with. We've heard them. We know the calls by heart. Same as it is here in soccer in the United States, soccer worldwide. There are those local voices. There are the national voices too, but there are always those local voices that carry you through in moments like this. And so when you have someone like a Pablo Giralt, who, like I said, if you go and you find his video, and all you've got to do is literally just do a search. You find the Pablo Giralt call, and his face instantly goes red. He hit fifth gear. It's like look, the hood went up on the car, the engine dropped, oil all over the driveway. He went from first to fifth. There was and the transmission, damn the transmission. Pablo Giralt went from first gear to fifth gear, and that's the kind of call that you get. So now this means that since we're after 10 o'clock here on a Thursday, it is time to check in with our friend in Lima, Peru, Nino Torres, and see if Nino has in fact survived. How are you, sir?
Yellow, soccer down here, fans. It's just, It's a glorious, absolutely glorious Thursday. Muchachos, ahora no volvimos a ilusionar. Oh my God, brother. Oh my. Masterpiece, masterclass. That's not my first topic. It's not my first topic. I think the first topic resumes it all. Yeah. That's my first topic right there. Is this Braveheart was made in Rosario, brother, not in Scotland, in Rosario, Argentina. All right. This is greatness. Absolute greatness. And I've been hearing this and across all different languages, in French, in Spanish, in English, by legendary players, because the conversation about this team being the best ever in the history of the World Cup, because as a collective team, as a collective effort, because many people will say, no, man, Brazil 1970, yeah, but they won only one cup. They only won that single one. It was brilliant soccer. It was a glorious soccer. Yes, it was. It was sensational. It was a broader show, right? It was better than Cats. But but the thing is, they only won once. The beauty and the grades and the honors for this team is like they did it, and they keep doing it, and they won again, and they won again, and they sustained that level of greatness throughout 4 years in this era where everything goes by the minute, by the second. You won this one, and then the next day you're nobody, and then somebody breaks the record, and every other day, every year changes. Argentina is the number one team in the planet for the last 4 years, and they still have one last fight, heavyweight fight, heavyweight bout. That it was postponed. The Destiny didn't want them to meet in the finalissime because they're supposed to meet back in March of last year, right? When they won the winners of Copa America, winners of the Euros. They're supposed to meet together in March, and then it's not gonna happen. I got other things to do. How about we meet in the finals of the World Cup? Deal. All right, we'll see you there, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. Then what I tell folks is this: at this point, underestimate Argentina at your own peril. Look, Argentina was a dog yesterday in the juice boxes, man. They were a slight underdog in the juice boxes yesterday.
By long it was like just there were dogs in this.
They were a dog yesterday.
I didn't check the box.
The juice boxes, and I mean it was slight, but nevertheless, you still had Argentina as a dog in that matchup. And by the way, wow. Okay, so Saturday, Spain and Argentina. Argentina right now is a plus 260 dog. Spain is favored at a plus 129. Argentina is a plus 260 dog. They are an underdog.
I'll take it.
Yes, I'm saying. I'm staring at that plus 260, and I'm like, yeah, give me a juice box. I'm out.
I'll take it. I'll take that, and I'm gonna put money on this one for sure.
Argentina yesterday was a plus 204. They were a dog. England was a plus 175. Argentina was a plus 204. You made money yesterday.
Oh yeah. And I was watching the game with my brother, and the minutes were climbing up. Right, 70th minute, 75th minute. I was like, it's time now. It's coming. It's just coming now. That glory. What was the goal? What was the time for the goal for Enzo Fernandez? What's the 78? Let me see the time. What was the time?
It was the 85th. It was
85th.
We talked about this in hour one. From the time of the Anthony Gordon goal in the 55th minute to the time of the Enzo Fernandez goal in the 85th minute. That's a 30-minute space. England had possession for 12% of the time, 3 minutes and 36 seconds.
And it's like it's not on the topics, right? But this is when you make the difference, when the experience makes a difference. And even though Tuchel is an elite coach, because he's elite, all right, then he made a bad decision yesterday. He did.
Well, I mean, let me. All right, so I'm gonna hit the pause button there. I will say the decision to defend, I understand it because you're up a goal. But when your players continue to go backward and backward and backward instead of keeping higher lines, you're ceding the ball, one, you're ceding space, two. If you go back and look, the line of five, it was a 5-4-1 or a 5-3-2. You keep seeing them going further and further back, closer and closer to Jordan Pickford. You don't see them keeping a high line to try and defend less space. They're working their way this way. They are going backward. And so I think the decision to defend, that's up to you. I get it. You're going to shut it down whenever. He decided after the goal he was going to do that. The players defending further and further back, that's on the players. And also the substitutions that he had later, I think he was slow to respond to the triple change that Scaloni made with 20 to go. I think he was slow in that. So there. So that's
Scaloni, right. Scaloni went all in. Scaloni went all in because he is like, all right, there's no time, there's no tomorrow, there's nothing that we can do after this. So we're gonna take our chances, and he dropped the bombs in there. And you got Lautaro, you got Julian, you got I mean, you got Messi, you got everyone in offense, and in response to the way that they were backing up against the wall, it was just also because Argentina forced him to back up against the wall. England was doing great defending. They were defending on the 50-yard line. They were defending on the halfway line. What happened there? I just don't know. And it's not only it wasn't only about Tuchel, okay? Because it's about all the Roy Keane said this, and I'm with him. Yeah, everybody talks about Jude Bellingham and how he talks, as he's soft spoken and through language, and who cares, bro? I want him to get the edge on the pitch. I don't want him to be a professional talker, professional communicator. No. I want him on the pitch, grinding. Okay, that's what I want for him. And he said this. He said, I don't think England's gonna make it because they're soft. They're soft. I mean, of course, coming from Roy King. I mean,
yeah.
This is a badass, right? But they needed that. They didn't have that. They didn't have a Roy Keane on the pitch, and they needed a Roy Keane on the.
But they tried to do that though. They tried to do that though in the first 45. They tried to, with a team that was as talented athletically as they were. They decided what they were going to do was they were going to make it chippy. They were going to slow it down. They were going to be physical. They were going to give cheap shots. They were going to do all this stuff. They went against their own DNA, and what got them successful to that point. They decided to slow things down in the first 45 and try to hip check and undercut and low bridge and push and all this kind of stuff. Instead of being who they were that got them to that point, they went against type in the first 45 minutes. And it's like, why are you doing this when we've seen what Argentina has had to defend against Cabo Verde and against Egypt? There were problems at the back. And a team that is as talented as England decides in the first 45 minutes to go against that idea and try to slam things together and turn it into freaking demolition derby in the middle third. It went against who they were.
That's what I'm talking about, the experience, right? That's what I'm talking about, the experience of Scaloni playing finals, playing semifinals in the World Cup. This was the first semifinal for Tuchel as a national team coach. The first semifinal. The World Cup, you're gonna make mistakes in the first in your first try. You're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna be they got those mistakes. He knows about those mistakes. He's not making those mistakes again. And on top of that, when I saw Argentina singing the national anthem, it was over. The game was over from the not even the first whistle. It was over.
Messi
was over.
Messi looked like he was going to crack some skulls when
they weren't going to war. Not England. I told you this, Johnny. Did I tell you this? Did I tell you this the last time around? That the X factor, the ingredients that comes to Argentina versus England. There's revenge, there's vengeance, we've got
into the Falklands. Yeah, we got into the Falklands. We're actually having Simon Jenkins from The Guardian on tomorrow to talk about the Falklands and its context, and now that England has lost, what it means going forward. Yeah, we got into the whole Falklands discussion. There's like 98 other levels.
Malvinas.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, yes. Ask Rodrigo de Paul after the match about that. Yeah. I mean,
it's that, that's why I put Braveheart as my first topic. Dude, big mistake, man. You just can't challenge Lionel Messi. You haven't seen this, brother. You haven't seen that many videos where every time that a player on the opposition team challenges Messi, the guy goes into destroyer mode. No, he's not an artist anymore. He's a serial killer. All right. That's what he becomes into a sicario, brother. And that's what he did. And he was doing those slalomos between 2, 3, 4 players. It's just ridiculous.
That run that he had in the 30s, where he gets the ball and he basically hip tosses Harry Kane.
Yeah, that one.
Blows Anthony Gordon off and just like, get away from me. And then it literally took a low bridge cheap shot from Elliot Anderson. And he rightfully got the yellow on this. It literally took Elliot Anderson bending down, hip checking, and trying to. I mean, that was some cheap stuff that Elliot Anderson did to low bridge Messi to stop that run. That's what it took.
You got to do what you got to do. That's what that was Anderson did. You got to do it. Sometimes the good guys got to do bad things to stop the bad guys. That's what they got to do, man. It's either the ball or the player, but never together. Never together. Either the ball passes or the body passes, but no, you two guys together, no, you're not going anywhere. They did, and he did it, and they tried to stop him, but I was I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in England. I wanted England to I wanted Jude. I wanted Harry Kane to carry the team to be the leaders that they were, and when they saved England many times throughout this cup, stepping up. They did not step up. They just did not. And in your best players, you got to play their best games in these kind of situations. And even though Messi wasn't that great in this match, well, and of course he went into demolition mode in the last 20 minutes and goodbye. That's the thing, they don't have a guy like that. And so, you know what? Do you know this, that this was the first time ever that Messi played against England?
Yeah. That's crazy.
First time ever.
Crazy to think about.
Ever, man. Jesus Lord.
I know. Let me go to your topic 2 here, because I will let you know, and I will let you hydrate properly before I give you the full story here. Okay, right. So his topic, his second topic is listed this way: no Beatles, no Oasis. It was Cumbia Papa. The boss, when I showed her the Las Palmeras halftime, I guess it was halftime. When she saw, I think from Sudamericana, when Las Palmeras, a lot of the original lineup comes out there, and it's the 2 minutes and 10 seconds that Sudamericana has released, and she saw
the guy crying.
She in Santa Fe. She sees everybody just jumping in, and they love that Las Palmeras. She didn't know what cumbia was, so I explained, who Las Palmeras was and what cumbia is, and she is now all in on. She's now all in on Las Palmeras after she saw. So you said Cumbia Papa. Please explain, sir.
Yes, because it's the culture. It's the culture. It's a cultural thing. I remember, what's his name? Jesus, Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
talking about when they asked him, would have done a different movie if the director wasn't black, and he said, this is not about color, it's about culture. It's about the culture. How do you understand the culture that matters here? And that culture here, the Las Palmeras thing, the Bombón Asesino, and carrying throughout all these players in the Argentina national team, that almost all of them, I think almost, how many? I want to say the majority of the players, they're not from Buenos Aires on this national team. Okay, you got Santa Fe, you got Salta, you got different locations around Buenos Aires. And cumbia is life for them. Cumbia is life for them. Cumbia is the one that you go to these tournaments with the cumbia blasting all the speakers, and you got the moms, the soccer moms in Argentina. They don't drive in minivans, brother. They don't drive in minivans. No, they like Di Maria. They took their sons into the bicycles, right? Do you remember the story about that I told you about Di Maria? His mom driving him to practice, driving him to tournaments in a bicycle. I forgot what the name of the bicycle. They named the bicycle after something. And that's it. This is the culture. And when you saw when I saw, I was touched, by the way, every time they sing Wonderwall. But it's a different energy, it's a different fuel from the BS, from the I know I got beautiful stories about Harry Kane and Bellingham, about their moms and whatever, but it's this energy that comes from playing on the ground. I mean, I'm not talking about pitches. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the hardwood floors. I'm talking about cement. I'm talking about that element of roughness carries you into these situations to fight differently. Right? Yeah, I always say this. It's the fuel for survival sometimes is greater than the fuel for greatness, and that's exactly what we saw last night when Cumbia prevailed over Oasis and the greatest rock and roll band of all time, Beatles.
No doubt, yes, absolutely. You've been big on numbers, and I think it was last time you gave us the numbers 4 and 40. I think those were the numbers that you gave us last time. You said destiny is written with numbers. What numbers do you have this time, sir?
When is the final going to be played? What's the date?
It is going to be on. So if today is the 16th, that is going to be. Hang on. So you're having me do this stuff. You're having me do math, man. It is going to be on the 7/19/26. So 7/19/26.
7/19/26. When the first World Cup appearance for Lionel Messi in 2006, the electronic palette shows number 19 going in for number 7.
Yep.
Javier Saviola.
Wow. Okay.
20 years ago.
Okay.
Qatar 2022 finals, last penalty. You saw that one, right?
Yeah.
You seen that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last penalty. Montiel scores. Messi goes on the ground. Number 19 and number 7 get into the celebration.
Wow.
So those messages are being sent by destiny, brother. This final was written all over Lionel Messi's heart for 20 years to get to this point.
Wow. Wow. Man, you come with the deep stuff, man. That's some.
I got goosebumps right now, bro. Jesus.
I mean, look, you got numerology. You got numerology just dead to rights, man. I mean, that's why I always when you come at me with numbers, I'm like, okay. And so, what numbers is he bringing in this time? It's like, okay, so 7 and 19. I have to pay attention to those. I will post those to everybody else and let them see what the 7 and 19 bring to the table. You want to talk about Spain? La Roja is rising with soccer IQ and the damn good
defense.
defense.
Because I know we were all about last night, but let's not forget that there's another semifinal that was played.
What? What?
Really? What was that?
No.
No. We're only going to talk about Messi and Argentina today, but it's crazy. Like I got my buddies here playing fantasy football, and there's somebody, because in that chat that I have, man, I'm the minority there. Like, we're 3 guys that root for Argentina, Messi, and the other 15 they're against us.
Mm-hmm.
So the manager of this fantasy group or whatever, he drops in today with like, hey, by the way, the Liga MX is going to start. Anybody wants to jump in? What are you talking about? He's talking about the Liga MX. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about La Roja. La Roja. If there was a team that could stop France, that was Spain.
Yeah.
That's also Nino Damos. Nino Damos said this last week also. Remember, people, I said it. It was going to be a team that could stop France. It was Spain. And how did they stop it? Having ball. And how did they stop it? Frustrating them. How did they stop them? Because they have the Spain is the team with the most soccer educated players in the competition, right? If we're talking about Argentina and the cumbia and the grounds and the villas and all that, they have the academy players. These guys, they've been taught to play since, I don't know, since they were 3 years old. I think they were in the academy at 3 years old. They were playing under a system at 3 years old. And they had that into their DNA. They understand the game. They know how to play the game. And probably it's just, they're the more tactical, gifted players on team in the competition. All right. I know we have all that from Scaloni on their players, but in Spain, you got high soccer IQ players, and of course, you have that great feet. Man, they can play feet like it's insane. It's like you're watching indoor soccer right now. Just put the ball on their soul and they clack, clack, tick, boom, they're moving, they're rotating, and how the triangles. This is not new because this was identified and created and sustained by Johan Cruyff about the triangles. He brought that into Spain. What is it? 40 years ago, almost 40. Yeah, almost 40. And it's Cruyff. That's Cruyff right there. What we see now, that's Cruyff influence in Spain for decades. And they're mastering that. They're mastering that, and they're mastering having to understand that they were not going to outpace France. Nobody could outpace France. Nobody, but they're slowing down. They crack the code. They're like it's in your text. They crack the French code. If you move this piece out of here, this piece is not gonna go lie here. So that's what they did. They just cracked the code, and they totally defragmented this powerful offense that France is. And also, I was a big fan of Barcola having to start this match, but I was picturing that because I was picturing that right side of Spain, but Barcola disappointed. He just carried the ball way too much. He didn't have that quickness that he was having when he was coming in from the bench for France, and it's just the offense wasn't at their greatest point either, right? You know, it was not only about the quality that Spain put on the pitch. It was also France. They got a lot of turnovers in that game. Do you realize that, John? They got a lot of turnovers. That was unheard of in throughout the entire competition, and that's why they were up. But at the props to France, because the first thing that they did in this group of media that I have in WhatsApp is like, oh, France was horrible. No. Don't take the credit of Spain, brother. Don't you dare take the credit of Luis Lafuente and Rodri and Pedri and Lamine Yamal. No. Don't take away. No, don't take it away from them. It's not France's fault. It's the tremendous, fantastic job that Spain did to defragment this powerful offense. And like I said, also Nino Damos said it here. Not always the most dominant teams of the most soccer eye candy football that teams play wins World Cup. It's way more than them playing beautiful soccer. Way more than that playing an aggressive soccer. There are more components into the equation. There are more elements into the equation, and that you have to have. And one of those is the human factor, the locker room.
Yeah,
the locker room. You saw France. You saw Turkey. You saw the Deschamps. You saw it. Something is because they were playing so great that the issues that they were having inside, they were not, they were covered under the carpet. But once they lose, boom, everything. You turn the fan on and everybody gets gets wet by that. But it's that that was the I think that's the lesson to the next topic about why France
Yeah.
why France lost it. It's about that the unity, the brotherhood that they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't have.
No, they don't. Is somebody delivering something to your house? Because I heard a truck backing up. I didn't know if Nino the baker was getting deliveries.
No.
Sound like somebody was getting a delivery, man. At least it wasn't the cops.
Man, I don't know. I got so many things going on around here. It's
I
crazy.
know you do.
I guess the thing is, I got the Department of Education right 2 blocks away. I got the First National Bank also 5 blocks away. I got the Peruvian national team headquarters 10 blocks away. I got I'm in a cool location, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen this weekend?
It's written already, bro. Argentina's going to win. Argentina's going to win. Argentina is going to win. I don't know how. I think probably we're going to see another 2-1.
Okay.
I probably will say that probably 2-1. I don't see a high scoring final like it happened last time around, that 3-3, 4-3. Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see that.
No,
I think we're going to see that. We're going to see a solid, a compelling, and beautiful and emotional win for Argentina.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
What I said. I wanted the fairy tale. I want the back-to-back. I want the 39-year-old to get a title, and I ain't telling him when to quit. That is not happening. That is not how I operate. You're gonna tell a 35-year-old he ain't coming back? Yeah. You good luck with that. He's 39 and he's still smashing it. We love you very much, and it's always great to see you, my friend. And Nina the Baker on the IG. We are working. Yeah, let me know when your pilots come this way.
Please, man. I'm just like, yeah. I'll let you know.
Well, but like I said, when they come this way, we'll do Delta Cargo, and then that way we don't have to worry about planes or everything. So whenever your pilot hits the mainland, go over to Delta Cargo, put it in the Delta Cargo, everything in the dry ice, and that way when it gets here, all I got to do is go to the airport and grab it, and then we make a big old story out of the whole thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen.
Nino the Baker on the IG, the ESPNINO on the X and all the other places.
ESPNino.
ESPNino on the 74 on the Twitters and stuff. Nino the Baker on the IG, where you get to see him bake. We gain weight. We gain weight by just staring at everything that he's baking. The tres leches drives the boss crazy when she sees the pictures of that. And all of the cakes and all the things. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the third place game and the first place game, and we will catch up with you next week, my friend. Love you very much. We'll see you soon.
See you guys. Take care.
There he goes. It's fully loaded with our buddy Nino Torres from FuboTV, and it's like he is. And the thing he said, he's in the center of the universe, where you got the National Bank going one way, you got the Federation 10 blocks the other way. So, what is the best way to get to a federation's heart? You take them baked goods. I've seen my Hannah Swenson mysteries. I know I've seen Murder She Baked. I know how you get into like Curious Caterer and the Murder She Baked stuff on Hallmark. How do they get things done? They take baked goods in the front door. You go to the cops. You want answers. You're being snoopy. You want to try to figure out how something is. What do? You bring fresh baked goods to cops. That way you get all the good intel. They love the baked goods. Oh, yeah, this is great. And so that way when you're asking an innocent question, as is written in the script, they know the cop just blurts it out because he's enjoying the food so much. I know how this works. He goes into the Fed. He goes into the bank. He brings baked goods. Hey, so what's going on with the Federation? Who's going to be the next manager? What are the call-ups? This is what you do. You take the baked goods into the National Federation. Go right through the front door. Yes, Nino Torres, Nino the Baker, FuboTV, and guest on American Programming. But no, I'm not here for that. I'm here to present you with baked goods. And all of a sudden, when there's a call-up that happens, when there's a coaching decision that has to be made, All of a sudden, Nino magically walks up to the door. Now I've got more baked goods. You go wandering into the front door, you see like one of the heads of the Football Federation there in Peru. Hey, so here, I wanted to bring you these tres leches. What's going on with the coaching search? And then, guys just plowing through the tres leches, and he said, oh man, it's tough. See, and then that way he's got sound that he can sit down. Yeah, I was talking to my sources inside the Federation, and they said A, B, C, D, and E, that these are the colors. So this is what you do. It's not, and I'm not saying it's bribery. I'm saying it's encouragement. You're being a good neighbor. You're being a good neighbor with a national federation blocks down the road. When you want intel, the best way to get to a hungry athlete, you give them food. You break bread, you give the tres leches, you bring the big old honking cakes. Like I said, seriously, go to Nino the Baker on the Instagram, on the IG or the gram. You can see all this stuff. Literally, I gain weight vicariously by just staring at all these photos. But then Nino runs off all the pounds that he vicariously gains by going and playing pickup soccer. And so literally this is what you do. You see how he puts the pounds on everybody else, and you see how he takes the pounds off of himself and everybody else. That's Nino the Baker on Instagram. That's how this works. That's our buddy Nino Torres from FuboTV down in Peru. And so that means we go to the hot change. We go to the suburbs of Seattle, Washington. We head to the Pulse as he's orchestrating his studio space, because it has been a long 6 weeks. It has been a long 6 weeks for us here in all of the world, the cup that the world is chasing after footprints. And so now we go to the suburbs of Seattle, because we got more stuff to talk about than just what's going on with the cup that the world is chasing after. Morning, sir, on the left coast. What is the word?
What is going on? John, how are you? How am I coming in real quick?
You sound good to me. I know that you're always wondering about lag and things like that, but I see no lag. You are not lagging. You have a large television monitor behind you that is going on, plus your Trianda. Now, is that a painting or is that a book of the official ball?
Oh, I don't know. That is a art. It's a piece of art. It's It's the Sounder Hard IV or 4.
Okay.
And this is a painting, and it's our World Cup edition.
Nice.
And it's a phenomenal little piece of art, though, I tell you.
That's dynamic. See, now I can't match that. The only thing I have is my Panini book that I'm trying to fill out.
Oh, okay.
All my stickers. I've got my first box of 50, and I blew through it, and I need my new box of 50. So that's kind of where I am. You, sir, we all can, short of a couple of locations. We can go back and refer to our stadia by their old names. So we can talk. We're talking World Cup, and we're talking. We'll take it from here. We got to talk about Cascadia before you go, because that's this weekend. So nothing like international tournament wrapping up and then getting to talk about Cascadia and getting back into what's going on with Major League Soccer. Where do you want to go first? Do you want to talk about what has happened, or do you want to talk about what's going to happen?
It's up to you. We could definitely talk about what has happened and where the team is at, because we were at the training ground this week, and there is some concern at the Sounders level. So, Ben, it's up to you, man. But
all right.
Yeah.
So there was, if I'm not mistaken, there was an individual who has gone from the left coast to the right coast that is no longer on the roster, heading to New England, I believe. And so that's another piece that you're having to think about. I think Cody Baker is now a Rev. Is that correct?
That is true. We got ahead of that story earlier this week. We broke it, I believe, during the weekend. And final details have come out. And now that's been official word, obviously. And it's a very interesting move in terms of, I think it's a win for everyone. Okay. Essentially, this is a loan, but there is a clause in terms of minutes that would trigger minutes and performance.
Yeah. That
would trigger a trade, basically. It would automatically turn that loan into a trade, so that money would be up front. The Sounders get a MLS draft pick, your usual, some GAM. But I think this is more a belief that the Sounders have in their roster, their depth. Unfortunately, Cody Baker, despite him being an excellent player and someone who I think has the tools to be a important contributor for New England, he just hasn't been playing. He's played less than 100 minutes this season. I believe he's played less than 500 last season. And if you just have a player that's sitting on your bench and there is no pathway to get him minutes, why not move him out, try to get some resources, and do right by the player. Get him somewhere just like this Sounders team has been doing with Georgie Manungu. They did it with Danny Leyva. And all of those moves have worked out. Josh Atencio, obviously Ovid Vargas, that was a little bit different. But those other guys were, maybe there wasn't as many minutes in their horizon. Maybe there wasn't a pathway for them to be regular starters. And so the Sounders have done a phenomenal job. I think that Craig Weibel maybe doesn't get enough credit for changing that business aspect and turning this team not into, I wouldn't call it a selling team, because they're not growing players to sell them. They're growing players to play and to have a sustainable way to boost their roster. But those guys that are on the end, maybe they're not getting a lot of minutes. Now, if you're a team in MLS or outside of MLS and you're looking for a guy that has that DNA of the Sounders, that that there's some intangibles there, that they have done such a phenomenal job at developing youth, you can come out here and get a player like Cody Baker. So it's an interesting one. I wish him nothing but the best. He's got some dog in him. He could play. He's mainly a wide player. I think he's a fullback mainly. But I've seen him play a bunch of positions. I've seen him play center back a little bit. I've seen him play a little bit higher off the pitch. And I just think that he's going to be a good contributor for a New England team that has some relationship to him, right? Obviously, Morris who's now an assistant in New England, used to be part of the Sounders organization. He's played with, and he knows who Cody Baker is. So I just think it's a smart move from both clubs, and it's a good move for the player.
3 matches so far this year, got 1 start. He's played a total of 96 minutes, 84% passing percentage, and suffered 3 fouls along the way. Played in 3 matches last year for Seattle on the first team, played 19 more minutes. So 3 matches so far, 1 start, 14 matches started in 31 matches participated over the last 4 seasons. And the way that it's structured, homegrown fullback, natural first-round selection in the 27 Super Draft. If you get certain metrics met, New England gets Baker permanently in exchange for $125,000 in GAM next year. The 27 first-round pick would turn then into a 28 second-round pick. Seattle also could get another $150,000 in Garber bucks if performance-based metrics are met, and get a sell-on fee down the line. So 2 assists, 37 appearances for the Sounders since debuting back in 2023. So Cody Baker for a super draft pick, and then there's a bunch of variables that would happen if certain things are met in New England. So when you look now, it is Cascadia. So it's like what they've started to do is, it's okay. So MLS is back. We'll take it from here. Tonight at Lumen, it's Cascadia with Seattle and Portland. And to kind of give folks a bit of a refresher as to where things are in the standings in the Western Conference, you're looking at right now Seattle at the 6 at 24 points, but they've also got 2 matches in hand behind LAFC. Portland, they have had a rocky season, 14 matches, 14 points. You've had a coach dismissal. They're 1-6-1 on the road, and they are 13th, only 3 points out of the cellar in the Western Conference. So what else did you find out this week at the Providence and Swedish 5-minute oil change and book exchange?
That, look, if it's a perfect segue, because you're going to prove your theory of how deep you really are if Cody Baker didn't have a pathway into any essential minutes. And that is because you believe in Peter Kingston, you believe in Kalani Kosa-Rienzi playing that right back position on the other end, because Cody Baker was more of a defensive type that could potentially replace Nuhu when you needed to do so. Tino Lopez, who's played center back and has been very, very good at center back. He's been challenged with the task of being a left back now. And what we've learned this week is that now you're going to have to figure out if those guys are ready to go, because there's a lot of injuries. Alex Roldan has a chronic hip injury that, in Brian Spencer's words, is concerning. He might be the guy that's farthest out, and that's difficult to interpret because he's very coy about certain things.
No.
And so, look, Alex Roldan is your most balanced right back. I think he has the duality to be excellent getting forward. He has great services into the box. He's also a very good defender, very savvy, very experienced, very physical. So now it's going to be Nico Moreno, very likely to be that guy that takes over there, who's played well in the past. And if anything, look, this Sounders team has been tested in this regard earlier in the season, last season as well. So that's one of the things, but no Christian Roldan either. So 0 Roldans for this Timbers game. We talked to Brian, and he kind of mentioned that in the process of Christian Roldan trying to get back from his initial quad injury, and he says, look, I don't blame him. I know that he wanted to play.
Right.
The tournament. He aggravated it in some degree. I'm hearing that he could be out at least 2 to 3 weeks, and I do say at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
It could be a month, maybe. I don't know, but that's what I've been told. That Christian Roldan could be out 2 to 3 weeks, and that is a tough. That's a tough player to lose when it comes to a derby, because he is that leader in the midfield. That he is the best pivot that you have. He's your most sustainable, most consistent guy when it comes to what Brian wants to do with those pivots. Not to mention that he is a leader on the field as well. He brings that physicality, and against the Timbers and this type of Clásico, you're going to need a guy like that. So now you're going to have to put that responsibility on a guy like Snyder Burnell. Perhaps we could see him take this as a moment to really establish himself even higher than what people already have him. So there's a lot of difficulties for this Sounders team with just a lot of injuries. And just to kind of finish and conclude, no Yamar Gomez Andrade, no Kim Ki-hee. There is a lot of questionables as well there with Ryan Saylor and a couple of others. So Hassani Dotson's probably going to get a start here in the midfield right next to Snyder Burnell, but definitely it's going to look like a rotated team. And there's a lot of responsibility for this team, because you got to capitalize, one, in momentum. Right off the bat. You want to get going on a win, but you also want to cash in on the euphoria, the emotions, the all of the eyes that have been drawn towards Seattle as a city. And look, if you have any casual fans that are going to be interested in this matchup now going off of the World Cup, you want to captivate them, but by having a win, but showing them that, look, there's a winning team here in Seattle, and you want to do that. But it's going to be difficult. Not to mention the fact that I am a true believer in the coach's bump, and by Phil Neville being gone and now getting that interim head coach, I don't know. I feel like things are kind of going the Timbers' way, but hopefully the Sounders are ready for a battle here at Lumen Field. Yes, we can say Lumen Field again.
Yes, you can. We can do that now because, and you mentioned what the momentum is, and obviously the same can be said in a lot of other places. But right now, you mentioned rotated side, and I think that this is probably one of the worst times to be going into a very, very quick return to a schedule, and you're going to have schedule compression because you've got the match on the 16th. Then everybody's back at it on Wednesday, to where you got short rest. You've got to go to Q2, and Jim Curtin's going to be up in the rafters with his notepad and his librarian eyeglasses trying to see what's going on with the future of Austin. But you're going from home game weekend, no real rest. A couple of days later, you're in the midweek in Austin. And then from there, you have to turn around and go to Philly on the 25th. So you're looking at basically 3 matches in a week. And the second 2 of those, you're going from home to Austin to Philly. and you're playing different styles seemingly each time, and you're having to do it with a lot of injuries and rotation. I'm intrigued when we come back to discuss after the first two of those three matches how things are going to be looking as they're heading to Philly. There's going to be a lot of questions, especially where the lineup is concerned, and how you navigate that on a three-match match week.
Yeah, it's next man up mentality, and that is what Brian prides himself on. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of responsibility on a guy like Jesus Ferreira, who had a really good season last year, who's been pretty good this year, but he's one of the most important guys on that field. Albert Rusnak, right? The DP tag is going to start to really become a topic of conversation as we look into the transfer window and where this team is at. So he's going to have to come out firing into all cylinders. And of course, you can't forget about Mr. Morris, who Jordan is a player that gets a lot of scrutiny. But I do believe that he is physically ready to impose himself in the second part of the MLS season. But there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, and people, the fans, everyone is going to be looking for one thing and one thing only is, can you score some goals? Can you be the guy that gets this team the attacking power that they have lacked this season? They've looked good defensively, but on offense, it's been a little bleak. They got to get some goals. And Craig Waibel himself talked about getting that 9 position looked at over the transfer window because there hasn't been enough necessarily from this team. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But I'm with you. It's not just the road games, but you also have to account for Leagues Cup coming up. You're going to have Chivas. You're going to have Toluca, I believe. You're going to have some real difficult games in that start of Leagues Cup. And as you know, it's all about getting titles, and whether is Leagues Cup and MLS Cup and all these things, you're going to have to believe in the depth of your squad. I do hope for this team's sake, though, that Pedro de la Vega, who was at least partial in training this week, starts to ramp things up and can come back just as good as he was last season, because he really elevates that ceiling. And fans hate to hear this, but he might be the biggest acquisition that you might have, just getting him back and ready and healthy, and he could provide you that game breaker, that X factor on the wings, because I don't know, man, the thing that the budget and what Craig Waibel is dealing with doesn't give him a lot to work with in terms of bringing in the type of players that make headliners and that get everybody really excited. So Pedro de la Vega might be the best acquisition, the most exciting player back for this team at some point.
Tied for the top defense in Major League Soccer, goals allowed, 26th in goals scored. And it's part of the discussion here in Atlanta, too, is getting the ball in the back of the net. That has not been something that has happened with a great deal of regularity this year. How active do you anticipate Seattle / Craig Waibel being in this transfer window? I mean, a lot of times, we've seen already some acquisitions being made, and that can be made official when the window opened back up on Monday, and all the talk and all the rumors and such. How active are you anticipating Seattle to address those concerns, or is it going to be one of those where, well, let's see what we can do with what we've got and not jump into the deep end immediately, but kind of wade your way into the pool and figure out how you can float?
Well, there isn't a lot of room for this team to be incredibly active, but I do expect them to, at the very least, add 1 or 2 more players. As I've mentioned, this team doesn't have a lot of resources going for themselves right now. There isn't really a DP level spot that is open. It's not this team's MO to ship anyone or buy somebody out and get a DP or anything like that. The craziest thing that could happen is if maybe you trade one of your DPs and try to get better there. But I don't see this team being incredibly active, but I do think that Craig Waibel sees the necessity to go out there and get a player to help this team be better. But again, the budget that he's working with, in my opinion, has probably been his biggest handicap. That's what's really hindered his ability to get guys in the past in previous windows. And I don't see that changing right at this very moment. So can they get somebody in MLS that's maybe a double-digit scorer? Can they go out there and get maybe another left back with some different profile things? Can they get another winger? All those things are possibilities that Craig Waibel, I'm sure, is looking for. But I am positive, I'm confident that at the very least, this team will add one player, but there's not going to be the maybe very active transfer window that other teams are going to have. Basically, because again, this team has got a pretty good core group. They've been very good. And what they're going to add is going to have to be a player that's going to come in to compete for real minutes. And Craig Waibel's been very straightforward about that. I'm not going to bring a guy just to bring a guy. He's got to come in here and compete. He's got to be better than what I have in store. And that's sometimes hard to do.
3-3 is the model that Seattle has, and fix my info if I'm wrong at any point of this. So it's the 3DP, 3 U22s. As of late March, there was only the one U22 spot that had been activated, and it was Nikola Petkovic. And there wasn't a whole lot of GAM available as of March. It was under $250,000 worth of Garber bucks that were available. And this is going to be at the end of this year. There's going to be some decisions that are going to be made when it comes to the roster in general. So, you're looking at an option year for Rusnak. Petkovic is on loan, and his contract is done at the end of this season. Yamar is a decision that has to be made. Musovski, Nuhu are decisions that have to be made. They're out of contract. Alex Roldan has an option year for 27. Ryan Saylor has an option through the sprint schedule after the sprint schedule of 27. Then the supplemental roster has some decisions that have to be made on option years on Anchor, Baker if things don't work out in New England, Azazi De Rosario, Stuart Hawkins, Kim Ki-hee, KKR, and Sukanome. So the homegrown decisions could be interesting after this season, but as you said, you don't have a whole lot of room to navigate when it comes to GAM. So Craig Waibel might have to be a very imaginative sort. And I'm thinking that the Cody Baker loan to New England gives him a little bit of breathing room if he wants to try to bring someone in to make an impact.
Yeah, and look, I asked about the GAM and TAM war chest that, to a certain sense, we thought that the team had, and Craig was like, look, the numbers that I see reported are not necessarily there because money comes in and fluctuates in different times than sometimes we look at right on paper, including some of the moves for Josh Atencio, the Obed Vargas. I mean, there is all this money that will come in, but isn't necessarily available right away. And, he doubled down on that's going to be also part of what I'm going to be extending guys with and keeping certain players. So you're absolutely right. I think next year is going to be that could be the biggest transfer window that this team has had in a while, because there are some of those DP level contracts that are coming to an end and they have an option. You have some of your homewards you got to try to figure out. Yemer Gomez-Andrade is a very interesting one as well. So there is going to be probably a lot of tough decisions to be made, but maybe next year, that's when Craig Waibel is going to be able to at least have the resources to bring in some players here and there. But that tells me that they're not going to be extremely active in this particular window. But I think next season, there's going to have to be some turnaround, some turnover. You're going to have to figure out which way you're going to go with certain players. I like the homegrowns. I think that they've been very good. This team has been looking for a U22 because it wouldn't hit it hits the cap differently. It doesn't hit it. And so that could be a place where you can bring in a player to help and boost this team without going over when it comes to that salary cap. So they have been looking at that position. But is a U22 striker really going to come in and perform right off the bat? I don't know. So that's why it's going to be very interesting where Craig Waibel goes. And look, this is something that I don't know if you're aware of, but there is that very known fan vote for the GM and of this team, and so there is a lot of responsibility, I think, on that regard, where you want to make sure that people know that you are being active and you are trying to get this team right before that sort of vote comes into fruition. But look, Craig Bauble seems cool as a cucumber, man. He's like, I love the vote. It is what it is. And so hopefully things go his way, because I think he's done a good job in ways that maybe you might not see it, but he has fallen a little bit short in terms of bringing in players. But I think a lot of it, if not all of it, is that he hasn't had a big budget to work with, right? So he's in a difficult position without a doubt.
Couple of other matchups in the West to look at for the juice boxes. Vancouver is an earlier start tonight, 8:30 Eastern at Chicago Fire. They're favored at a +145, Fire at a +160, draws a +290. We mentioned what's going on with Seattle and Portland. Seattle favored at a -196, prohibitive favorite tonight. +400 on the draw, +470 for Portland. And
400 on the draw.
+400 on the draw. And then tomorrow night, pushing 11 o'clock Eastern time, because they say it's a 10:25 start, so that's probably more along the lines of 10:40 or 10:50. El Tráfico, LAFC favored in Carson against LAG. LAFC is a +129, Galaxy are a +200, and your draw is a +280. So 4 of the 6 matches that are happening tonight and tomorrow, as MLS takes care of it from here, are involving Western Conference teams. Interesting way to start out. Vancouver on the road with a tough one. Then you've got All Caps taking on Sporting Kansas City. All Caps is favored in that one. You've got yours, and then El Tráfico wraps up MLS. We'll take it from here on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that even without the Lewandowski, promotion that clearly they've been putting out there, even without knowing where he's at or if he will play or not, I think that's a really good game. Just stylistically talking about what Greg Berhalter has been able to do and Jasper Sorensen, I think it's a very compelling game just to get you going for this MLS restart. So I'm excited to see it. I think Chicago finished strong right before the break. I think that there is a lot to be said about a team that has the leading scorer of the league in Hugo Kuipers. So it's going to be a good one. I do not have a lot of insight on how quickly Vancouver will get going. But look, I like the group. I like where they were at right before the break as well. I think that's one where a draw would be very intriguing for me in terms of the juice boxes. But that's a really good game. El Tráfico on the other side, man, that's a coin flip, to be quite honest. And Marc Dos Santos, man, that's a big game for him. Where the team has been with the scrutiny, with the doubts, and can Sonny become the guy that he was at times last season? I mean, there's a lot of question marks when it comes to LAFC. And I don't know, man, I feel like Greg Vanney is kind of playing with house money at this point, I mean, so I don't know where he's at in terms of responsibility, but the LA Galaxy always play LFC tough, regardless of how good LAFC has been. So that's going to be a real difficult game for Marc Dos Santos.
All right. So since you mentioned that, I'm going to go here. 2.5 on El Tráfico is a -175. 3.5 is a +138. I like the +138 at 3.5.
I do too. I think that's a safe bet for sure. Because it's a coin flip, I wouldn't touch anything else. But that definitely at 3.5, it's a good bet. And man, the 400 for this Timbers Sounders game is interesting to me, simply because with all of the injuries and everything that you have going on, I could see Seattle maybe playing 3 in the back and trying to play off the counter and play it that way. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the way it's going to happen, but I would feel pretty good about that draw for the Sounders without a doubt. And then when it comes to that Chicago game, could you give me the numbers on the Chicago Vancouver?
Sure. Chicago's a +160. They're a slight dog. Draws a +290. Vancouver is a +145. I hear you thinking all the way.
Yeah, no, it's good. I don't know. I kind of like that draw as well in Soldier Field. That's going to be a good one. But I like the draw on that one as well.
Yep, I'm right there with you. All right, hit the promo for me, please, sir, and let everybody know what else is going on.
Yes, sir. Well, we're getting back finally into the regular rhythm, regular programming, if you will. So we are getting together with Jeremiah Oshan to do what we learned this week on Friday. We'll talk about whatever happens tonight. So whether it's good, whether it's bad, you can definitely find all of the voices that will talk after the game today on both ends. I'm going to be on the visiting locker room today as well. I'm going to have someone else in the home side just because I want to get a lot of those interviews that come out after the game. So you could find that at Pulso Sports. And then on Monday, of course, we're going to do kickoff with our little wall on Loving Scorchers. And then we'll break down the entire weekend of what we were able to see in this MLS restart.
You got it, my friend. It's great to see you as always. Love you very much. And we'll catch up with you again this time next week where we're talking schedule compression and all the chaos now that MLS will take care of it from here. We'll see you next week, my friend.
You're the man, my guy. Appreciate you.
There he goes, Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports Sounder at heart. And he's going to go get a nap in because he's got like a long day. Unless the boss got him up at like crack of before dawn 30. It's like, we're going to go work out. And you're like, nah, I'll watch. You'll get up, you get in the car, you drive over. She's all fired up about working out, and you're just kind of sitting there. You're moving weights. You're just kind of pushing back and forth. Okay, let's get you into all the other news and stuff you need to know about heading into today. Notes from Major League Soccer: Columbus Crew homegrown defender Tristan Brown representing the U.S. at the CONCACAF U20s, and the U19 national team 21-player roster at the U20s announced today by head coach Gonzalo Segares. So Tristan Brown is one of those. Cooper Sanchez, by the way, is also a part of that discussion. So Cooper Sanchez has been named to the U19 men's national team for the U20s as well. And that is going to be July 24th through August 9th in Mexico. Tournament serves as the Confederation qualifying competition for the U20 World Cup in Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan, the 27 Pan Am Games in Lima, Peru, and the 28 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. So nothing attached to this at all. So RSL's America First Training Ground hosting the team's pre-camp beginning July 17th before the squad travels to Mexico on July 21st. Drawn into Group A, USA faces Haiti on July 25, El Salvador July 28, Cuba July 31. All three matches kicking off at 9 o'clock Eastern on FS2 from Estadio Huatamoc in Puebla. Top two teams in each group, as well as the two best third-place teams, all advance to the quarters August 4 and 5 in Puebla. Winners of those matches qualify for the U20 World Cup and the Pan Am Games in Lima, Peru. Shifting to the Estadio Azteca semifinals August 7, and they host the final at the Azteca August 9th. Tournament winner qualifies for the Summer Olympics, but should the U.S. win the tournament, the Olympic berth awarded to the runner-up because, once again, you're a host, so you're an automatic qualifier. So Cooper Sanchez, a part of the U19 men's national team for the 2026 CONCACAF U20 Championship, and a little birdie told me that we might be able to hear from Cooper Sanchez tomorrow. So that will be up and running here on the network. So keep an eye on all of that. Cooper Sanchez and Braden Dunham both called up as a part of this. The keepers, it is William Lodmel from Sporting Lisbon, Lucas McPartland from All Caps, Kane Rizvanovic from Minnesota United. Defenders, Chris Applewhite from Nashville SC, Tristan Brown, Chris Cupps from Chicago Fire, Brandon Days from Lou City, Braden Dunham from Furman, Javon Mussenden from New England Revolution, and part of the SDH footprint as well, Joshua Torquato from FCD. Midfielders, Colin Gusky from OCB, Santi Morales from Inter Miami, Cooper Sanchez, Alex Shaw from Inter Miami, and Dylan Vanny from LA Galaxy. Forwards, Nemfasa Berkimas from Charlotte, Jaden Contreras from FCD, Din Klapia from RB Leipzig, Shanti or Harshabal from Athletic Bilbao, Ruben Ramos from LAG, and Colton Swan from Charleston Battery. So that is your U20 championship roster heading into training camp before they head out to let everybody else try to knock them off when they get into a competition in Mexico coming up the tail end of this month and early next month. So taking a peek at any of the other news that's going on. We'll check in with our friend Ben Jacobs, who's been very, very busy this morning now that we're down to the final two in the World Cup. You've also got that happening, and so you have all of these things that are going on and trying to effort. All right, so I will keep an eye out on that. So that's Malcolm Fry, we mentioned Cody Baker heading from Seattle to New England on loan. In something of a corresponding move, Lexington SC has acquired forward Malcolm Fry on loan from the Revs. So Malcolm Fry forward goes from the Revs to Lexington SC on loan, and Cody Baker comes over to help out defensively for the Revolution from Seattle. It is a loan from the Revs pending League and Federation approval. 8th Revolution Academy product signed with the club professionally in 2022. Fry, 80 appearances for Revs 2, 13 goals, 10 assists, 3 times in 5 matches during the club's U19 MLS Next Cup title run in 2022. This season, 4 times for the Revs, twice on Open Cup, scored his lone senior squad goal. So Malcolm Fry available for ahead of selection, ahead of the matchup against Roots coming up in 6 days' time from here. So let's see. There is a story that has been posted about all of the records that apparently Lionel Messi could break in the World Cup final. Just to give you an idea. Oldest outfield player in a World Cup final. Oldest scorer in a World Cup final. Joint most World Cup finals played in. Most goals and assists at a single World Cup since records began. Right now he's 8+4. Gerd Mueller has 13 goal contributions, made that in 1970. Joint most World Cup finals scored in, most goals scored in a World Cup finals. Scored a brace in the last World Cup final in 22. If he does it again, matches Mbappe's record for 4 goals in World Cup finals. Most free kick goals at the World Cup, tied as one of 7 players holding the record of 2. Oldest player to retain, highest scoring World Cup winner. First player to win 2 World Cups as captain. Didn't know that one. So all of those possible for Lionel Messi. Probably want to talk about this tomorrow, but there are some folks overseas that are saying that the 3rd place match should be just canceled for all of humanity. It's not worth it. We'll get into that more in depth tomorrow. Also on the board this morning, let me see. So we got into the juice boxes and your start times. Let me see if the announced teams have been made available to us for the games tonight on Apple TV, all 4 of them, and then 2 tomorrow. So NWSL is also going on. That was last night. Club friendlies, UCLs. There's more NWSL stuff, a lot of NWSL stuff with comms and things. Okay, the Apple TV announcers have not been made public, so trying to see who those were, but we're going to be hopefully visited by our friends at Apple TV tomorrow, and when they show up, we'll find out who it is. Might find out after the show. All right, check in with our buddy Ben Jacobs, and we've got gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all the things that are there. So Ben has this morning and 40 million euro agreement with Club Brugge to sign Christos Solis. That has been made within the hour. With Arsenal, talks accelerated rapidly after Arsenal agreed to meet the asking price. Clubs are currently formalizing the deal separate to the pursuit of Morgan Rogers. Chelsea have now rejected 2 bids from Como for Trevor Chalobah. Talks are continuing. Other clubs are interested. And we mentioned Christos Solis as his discussion continues. Leicester City and Rangers both showing an interest in Sheffield United forward Ryan One out of Scotland. Agreement in principle early this morning between Dominic Szoboszlai and Liverpool over a new deal. Nothing signed yet. Terms in place for a big salary. And Leicester signing Connor Chaplin on a 3-year deal, joining on a free after leaving Ipswich. Tariq Muharemovic arrives in Leeds today to formalize his £34 million move from Sassuolo. Agreed in principle with Muharemovic going from one direction to the other. Nottingham Forest viewing Lucas Bergvall as their top target to replace Elliot Anderson, as Jacobs revealed on TalkSport with Alex Crook. And John Percy at the Telegraph is saying that a £38 million bid had been rejected, and so Bergvall continues to be chased. João Gomes set to join Aston Villa from Wolves for around £35 million. left Wolves training camp to finalize a move. First called by John Townley, the Villa correspondent for Birmingham Live. Villa also is in talks for Joao Palhinha, who wants to stay in England after leaving Spurs. Mentioned Bergvall on Manzambi. Once again, £52 million move from Freiburg set for his Aston Villa medical today. See if there's anything domestic with our friend Tom Bogert, and see if there's anything that we might have missed from our friend David Ornstein before we head into printed word. Looks like Kai Wagner is set to return to Philadelphia from Birmingham City, returns as a DP. Philly's going to pay a fee of under $4 million to reacquire Kai Wagner from Birmingham a year after they let him go there. So we'll keep an eye out on that. This was first reported by Jonathan Tannenwald, club's all-time assist leader in Philly. Comes back, started all 16 matches. He was available for Birmingham City. And let's see. LA Galaxy have signed Robert Taylor, available on a free after he was bought out from Inter Miami. And joined Austin. I'm sorry, he joined Austin last year and was waived. Sorry, he had been in Austin, and Austin decided to send him on his way. Galaxy's on a free. He's going to hit the cap at a club-friendly number. And Lewandowski set to make his MLS debut against Thomas Mueller. How's that for tonight? 21-year-old Luka Jovanovic on course to complete a move to MLS side San Jose. So a transfer could pair him with Timo Werner in attack. So he comes from Adelaide United, co-Golden Boot winner of the A-League with 11+3 in over 1,600 minutes last season. So Luka Jovanovic, Australia Youth International forward, looks like he's heading to San Jose. We mentioned the Daryl Dike move also. Joined West Brom from Orlando for a deal worth $9.5 million, but it looks like Dike set to return to Orlando City this summer, and we'll keep an eye on that one as well. So let's see. And we also discussed Elias Saad. I believe that was now officially official by Nashville this morning. They have put the word out that it is, in fact, officially official that Elias Saad is now a part of the future for Nashville SC. So I know that Lokeville had asked how Atlanta United is looking and heading into this matchup with Nashville. And we know that Nashville is going to be gangbusters, and we know that they are continuing to add. We know that Atlanta has added at the back, and so it will be interesting to see how the new back line is going to feel when it comes to relationship and all that. They've had a little bit of practice time, so we'll see what it looks like tonight. Team is heading north in a couple of hours, and so keep a listen to Jason and Mike and their reports and returns when it comes to Atlanta and Nashville. So intrigued also with what we saw against Sporting Kansas City, where Latte Lot was on the outside and you had Alexi Moore playing in the middle. I wonder what it's going to look like up top. I wonder what it's going to look like with second team players coming up to be a part of things. And you're going to have your share of the younger players obviously attached to it, but I think the places to keep an eye are going to be your center backs and your top when it comes to going up against Nashville. So keep an eye on the back line and what that looks like. And then where is Latte Lot? Is Latte Lot going to be off to the side? Is he going to be off to one of the wings? Is Miggy going to be on the left and Latte Lot on the right? You're going to play, something of a, if you play that 4-2-3-1, then who's the one? Is it Alexi or is it Miggy? Does Miggy drift out to the side? Does Latte Lot drift out to the side? When they post the picture of what it looks like on television, just know that that's for television purposes only. People will drift. So keep an eye up top, see what it looks like in the 3 and the 1 in the 4-2-3-1 and what your center back pairing looks like for Atlanta United when it comes to the 4 at the back. So that's the that's the early thoughts, at least from me, when it comes to what you're staring at there. Okay, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Then what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And we will take a peek there and see what it is. All right, so let's go and see if first off, our transfer news has been posted. And this is silly, but we're going to read the headline anyways. Tuchel retains the FA backing after a World Cup exit. You made it to the semifinals. You made it to the semis. Manuel Ugarte's undergone knee surgery, by the way, for Manchester United. And last night, Sam Kerr returned for Gotham in a sold-out win at City Field. So big win in the NWSL last night. Jeff Kassouf was there. 1-0 win in front of 42-175 at City Field. Rose Lavelle gets the goal. Sam Kerr makes a return to Gotham after winning the 2017 NWSL MVP award. And so sellout crowd last night at City Field, 42-175 for Gotham over Washington Spirit. Two of the heavyweights and 42,000 folks in attendance last night. So very, very cool there. Getting into your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And once again, seeing, okay, so here we go. We've got our up-to-date stuff. So Michael Olise wants to make a move to Real Madrid from Bayern Munich this summer, according to Foot Mercato. Heavily linked with a move to the Bernabeu after Florentino Perez claimed he would submit a 150 million euro offer for a player this summer. Turned out to be for Julian Alvarez. Olise wants to go. So keep an eye on that from Foot Mercato. Liverpool ready to move for Bournemouth winger Ryan, according to Team Talk. The 19-year-old's only been in the Premier League since January, signed for 25 million from Vasco da Gama, pounds, but quickly impressed. And Andoni Iraola, who is at Liverpool, wants to bring him back. He wants to bring him over. Competition, Andoni Iraola is reported to be interested, but doesn't want to pay the 130 million pound release clause, despite competition from Barca, Bayern, and PSG. Manchester United ready to make a 60 million euro offer for Roma midfielder Manu Kone. Tuttosport claims bids being considered, with him set to join Yuri Tielemans and Andre Santos as a part of a midfield shuffle, with Ugarte's long-term injury and Casemiro's departure. Arsenal have no intention of allowing Martin Odegaard leave. Team Talk claims the Gunners still view him as essential to their plans. Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes has been heavily linked with a switch, as has Lille's Ayoub Bouadi, is another on that short list for 9 figures on a release clause. Barcelona linked with a potential move to sign Aymeric Laporte, according to Mundo Deportivo. Former Manchester City left-footed center back is at Athletic Club. He's got a deal through 28. Deal may be viewed as challenging, as the relationship between the two appears to be strained after previous transfer sagas. Laporte has been partnered with Pau Cubarsí for Spain, helping them get to the final. Inter Milan remains in talks with Spurs over a deal to sign Jed Spence, according to Fabrizio Romano, and his transfer valuation currently higher than Inter Milan are willing to pay. Talks continue to find a resolution. Spence is reported to be open to a switch, which would see him return to Italy after a stint with Genoa in 24. Chelsea in the WSL closing in on signing Manchester United forward Melvin Mallard. We talked about that one, $1.1 million, 850,000 pounds. She would reunite with Sonia Bonpastor. Other rumors, Bayern Munich closed the door on any potential exit for Harry Kane. Not happening, according to Sport. Alexis McAllister set for talks with Andoni Iraola over his future at Liverpool. 2 years remaining on his contract. Reds are believed to be relaxed. Team Talk. Foot Mercato, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang set to join Spanish side Deportivo La Coruña, 12th club in senior football, with an exit from Marseille now expected. We mentioned Christophe Solis this morning, and Fabrizio Romano is as well. Nicolas Shearer, Everton, and Fulham are eyeing a deal for Genoa right back Brooke Norton-Cuffy, former Arsenal defender, viewed as an option to strengthen at the back. Crystal Palace have offered another contract extension to Jean-Philippe Mateta, this time until 2030. He's got 1 year left on his deal, linked with an exit a few months on after his failed transfer switch to AC Milan in the winter window. Gazzetta, Juve keeper Michele Di Gregorio has emerged as an option for Leeds. They've lost both Ilan Meslier and Carl Darlow as frees, and so now they're a free agent, so now they're chasing after Michele Di Gregorio. Inter Milan still considering a move for John Stones as a free. Chelsea's valuation of Trevor Chalobah appears to be too much. Doubts over the defender due to his recent fitness record, according to Gazzetta. Football Insider news on Jack Grealish prioritizing a return to Everton. Doubts persist over his future at Manchester City. Toffees will only do a deal if City reduce the £50 million valuation set in the initial loan deal, and Villa continuing to explore a potential deal to sign Mexico's Julian Quiñones heading into next season. That is once again according to our friends at Football Insider. Now, I'm trying to see if we're caught up on everything. I think we are to a point. And so we'll keep up with everything going on. Tomorrow, it's going to be getting ready for MLS. MLS is back. We'll take it from here. and should be getting a visit from our guests at Apple TV. Should be getting a visit from Lucas Panzica, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville for opposition research. And then also getting a visit from Simon Jenkins, currently a columnist at The Guardian, to explain the England side of the Falklands War and where it is 40 years after the fact, especially after yesterday and what happened at the end of the match with the laying down of the banner. We'll get the English side. We are efforting the Argentine side of the discussion as well, but the English side, context, what it means, how deep is it for current demographics 40 years on, those kinds of things. So we'll be joined by Simon Jenkins of The Guardian, Lucas Panzica, 104.5 The Zone. See if we can catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, Michael Parkhurst or Greg Garza, and our friends from Apple TV, and continuing to roll things on from there. So it's been a very, very busy time with all of us here. Can't thank y'all enough for being a part of everything. Jamesinho, 28. Welcome aboard. It's good to see you. So there's $1 million in GAM for the Manungu trade and up to $3 million if they convert the cash from trades instead of Hanover pocketing it, according to Jamesinho, 28. Don't be a stranger, by the way. Glad to have you in this morning. Good to see Abby this morning. And morning, David. Morning, Alex. And morning, Lokeville. So that is the rundown for the morning. Unreal, and I know the rest of it, but let me see if they are here in Twitch so they can be properly reported. They are not in Twitch, so I can't properly report them. So morning, Abby. Morning, Jamesinho. And morning, David and Alex. So good morning. So good morning to all of you folks. Back at it again here, 9:05 in the morning, to go over everything on a Friday and to remind you about Atlanta soccer tonight. It's not stopping. Tournament's not over. Not stopping. Neither are we. We're still going to have SDH AM Saturday and SDH AM Sunday for one more week, and we will break it all down for you there. It is Power Hour at 10 o'clock. We got that. So Atlanta soccer tonight at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11 and beyond. Jason, live from Nashville. World Cup, Atlanta United return in an interview with Cooper Sanchez. 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app. 10 o'clock Atlanta soccer tonight. And we will hitch ourselves to that wagon as Atlanta United gets ready for the matchup against Nashville SC. You'll get more intel from Jason Lokeville tonight on AST, and we'll play some of that for you tomorrow morning as well. So busy times. Atlanta United back at it in Nashville, heading that way in a couple of hours. Argentina shaking the cobwebs loose at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground this morning as they get ready to go on to the Meadowlands to take on Spain. We'll talk about that more again tomorrow. Since it is the end of the show, thanks for putting up with us. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to Nico. Thanks to the Power Hour. And thanks to all of you folks for letting us come into your living rooms and your devices every single day. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. Since it is the end of the show, Atlanta Soccer tonight at 10, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. We're back in 21 and a half hours or so. Since it's the end of the show, mucha plot, y'all, it means I get to do this and catch up with you in the morning and tonight on AST.